Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me here today on another Cabral concept, a different day, a brand new show. Every single day for almost 6 years now, the Cabral concept tries to bring you all of the different ins and outs of integrative health, of functional medicine, naturopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, all forms of medicine brought together so that you don't have to choose, that you can use the best of every discipline. That is what being an integrative health practitioner is all about. So today's show, though, is actually a follow-up. I did a show on episode 2029, which was a case study. We have not done a lot of case studies from inside of our private practice for you, and we've been getting a good call for that, meaning a big call. People want to hear more about that. And since we got great feedback from episode 2029, which was a case study based on a client that was dizzy, they had brain fog, they had muscle loss, they were feeling weak, lack of stamina, and leading to some basically low cognitive output, that I wanted to show with you an actual lab of theirs. Of course, everything is completely anonymous. Show you what the lab looks like, really demystify it, that this does not have to be overly complicated, and that we can show you how these things appear, how they come about, and what we could do in order to help this person rebalance. Because remember, when the body becomes rebalanced, then there's no more brain fog, dizziness, loss of muscle, feeling weak, low energy, low stamina. All of those things go away. Because remember, those are only symptoms of a body that's imbalanced. And a body that's imbalanced is dealing with deficiencies in certain amino acids, omega-3s, vitamins, minerals, proteins, or toxicities from heavy metals, gut dysfunction, and many other things. So you don't even need to know how any of these things work. What you need to understand is that it's possible for you to get well, no matter how long you've been sick, to lose the weight, no matter how long you've had the weight on, and to also reverse the aging process. I've shown now through clinical studies, peer-reviewed research, that you can stop and reverse Alzheimer's, 90% success rate. Why doesn't anybody know about this? Why aren't they talking about the media? Because the media is not necessarily your friend. They're there to sell advertising. They sell sensationalism. If you talk about all these positive things they've already shown more than 30 years ago, that people don't tune in. People tune in to watch what's happening next. And they're more engaged, believe it or not, with, think about it, an accident on the side of the road. Everybody slows down to see what's going on. So you have to understand, this is human psychology. We want to know about the negative things, because the negative things, when we listen to them, we try to keep ourselves safe. So it's human psychology. My job is to share with you a lot of the positivity, a lot of the things that do work. And I can assure you that someone just like you has recovered from whatever you're dealing with right now. All right. So let's get into today's case study. Today's case study is a lab test that I don't even talk about a lot, and it's called the Neurotransmitter Mind and Mood Lab Test. I'll link it up today. It'll be at stephencabral.com/2043. Keep in mind, the FDA and the government and the FTC and all the powers that control all of us, or at least try to, right? They don't allow me to link up any products, nutritional supplements, and even food-based if it has to do with a dis-ease state. So just keep in mind, I can't do that. I can't, unfortunately, link those up. But if you're ever missing a product, if you can't find something, it's super easy. Just text me, stephencabral.com/text. Really easy. We'll get right back to you, okay? Now, for labs, I can link those, at least for now. So the at-home labs that I recommend that are simple urine, like a urine test, which is what this is, you can run those very easy on your own. All the labs that I recommend are at stephencabral.com/labs. So super simple. Equalife is there, all the different companies I recommend, okay? So let's get into it. What does this person that we're talking about suffer from? Well, I can't give you, of course, their name and all of that, but I can tell you this. They are 34 years old, and this is a female, and they are premenopausal. That's all I can share with you, right? But that's all that you need to know. So what you really need to know, though, are the symptoms. So this person is suffering from moderate aches and pains. They have anxiety, some allergies, some menstrual dysregularity. They have a colder body temperature, which means cold hands and feet typically get cold more easily. They run a little bit more low mood and depressed, a little bit of constipation, fatigue, especially in the evenings. They have foggy thinking. Their hair is a little dry or brittle. They have a little bit of hair loss on the top of their head, even at 34 years old, and as a female as well. So you don't have that male pattern balding. Some heart palpitations, some irritability, some libido decreased. They have mood swings, nervousness, some night sweats. They feel there's rapid aging. Sleep is disturbed. They have stress and sugar cravings, and a little bit of puffiness and water retention. All right, so that's all of their symptoms. And it's a lot. But believe it or not, that's okay. That's not uncommon for us to hear that. Because if you go through them, what did I really hear? Well, what I really heard was this person say, I have inflammation, aches, pains, water retention, puffiness, okay, inflammation. I heard they have sleep disturbances with stress, makes sense. They have low mood and anxiety. And they also have what sounds like some lower thyroid issues with the thinning of the hair, the cold hands and feet, the weight gain. So these are all things that we need to look at, okay? But this is a neurotransmitter test, but I am trained, and so is my team, to understand those symptoms. And even if you only run one lab, what we might be looking for, right? So in the back of my mind, before I even look at this person's lab numbers, I'm not saying this is what the person has. This is why we lab test, right? We don't guess, we test, right? So I'm already thinking to myself, this person has higher levels of stress hormones. I'm thinking that this person has lower levels of thyroid because of the higher levels of stress hormones. I think that they have estrogen dominance because of the menstrual dysregularity, as well as the puffiness, the weight gain, some of the skin and hair-based issues. And those are the three things I'm thinking right off the bat. And I'm probably thinking poor digestion, even though it's not stated there, because of all this stress, lowered metabolic rate with thyroid, and the menstrual dysregularity with estrogen dominance that can lead to bloating the second half of the cycle, about 7 days or so before your period. So again, this goes for men just like it goes for women. This is just a female neurotransmitter. So the nice part about the first part of the female the neurotransmitter for both men and women is, again, we're looking at urine-based markers. So we're looking at these neurotransmitters, and I've done many shows on neurotransmitters. I'll link those up for you today. So if this is new to you, neurotransmitters control your mood. They control your happiness, your anxiety, your ambition, your drive, and your energy. All right, so it's really important to look at it. Now, are they the only things? No, of course not, right? But I'm going to get into that a little bit today. All right, so really important. What we're doing here is we are looking at those neurotransmitters from the inhibitory ones, which are basically the calming, anti-anxiety, and happy ones. Okay, we're going to look at that. Then we're going to look at the excitatory. Now, you need those too. But too much of them or imbalanced, that's going to lead to then the anxiety, the lower mood, the brain fog, the feeling burnt out. All right, so we want that for energy, but not too much or imbalanced, because then of what it leads to. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to give you just a quick overview of 4 neurotransmitters. One is serotonin. That is the happy, feel-good neurotransmitter. 90 to 95% is made in your gut, your intestines, which is why you need a good working gut. And then GABA is the anti-anxiety neurotransmitter, okay? So we've got the happy neurotransmitter of serotonin, and we've got GABA as the anti-anxiety neurotransmitter. Now, those, of course, crossover, but that's the easiest way to put it. And then the excitatory, we have norepinephrine. Norepinephrine is that first stress hormone. Think of it as more of adrenaline. That's kind of what we say in the U.S. But norepinephrine, besides it being, we'll call it a stress hormone produced by the adrenals, it is actually a get up and go fight or flight hormone. That's not bad to have. You need it. Believe me, you need it. You just don't want too much of it, right? So that's what's going to give you that energy. And then we have dopamine. And dopamine, a lot of people refer to as the reward hormone. It is not the reward hormone. So that's the reward neurotransmitter. I have a whole podcast on dopamine. I'd like to link that up for you here today. So all the links, and if you want to, I should have mentioned this already, please head to stevencabral.com/2043. Nothing to do there except all the links for previous free podcasts, as well as looking and following along with this neurotransmitter lab test. You can actually see it yourself. A lot of numbers on there. You'll see the main ones, okay? An integrative health practitioner is who's able to read this for you, but really what you want to know are the main ones that I've talked about. And I'm going to make it even simpler in just 1 second. That's why I want to demystify at-home functional medicine lab testing, right? So let's look at this. The first markers, we're going to look at serotonin. they're about 50%. So when you look at this lab, there's red areas on both sides, just like blood work. You don't want to be in those, right? That means a dis-ease state. Then there's yellow. Yellow saying caution, watch out, you're almost out of range. This is bad news. And then there's the green space. Now, in the green space, for a neurotransmitter test, you want to be between the 50% and the 75% marker in an ideal world, all right? So that means your number, which is represented by the arrow pointing down and then the white square with your number in it, that represents your number, okay? Based on the neurotransmitters that you produced that day and night before, because it's a first morning urination here. So it's really interesting here because when we look at this, we're looking at, again, 50 to 75%. That means the body's producing enough of these neurotransmitters to be happy and feeling good. So when I look at this person's inhibitory neurotransmitters and I look at serotonin, I say, okay, they're at a 93 and the range is about 50 to 150 or 140. So they're doing great. They're basically right at that 50% mark. Okay, fantastic. Then I look at GABA and they're at 362 and the range is 167 to 463. So they're at about a 75%. So I'm thinking, this is fantastic. This person has great inhibitory neurotransmitters, which means they may not have a lot of gut dysfunction because they're producing enough serotonin. Now, of course, I make sure that they're not on SSRIs, and SSRI is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which is a pharmaceutical drug that keeps more serotonin in the bloodstream, or technically what's called the synaptic cleft. And that is what allows the space between two neural synapses to keep serotonin there. So whenever the person needs it, it's right there, right? Instead of it being recycled. So I look at this person, I say, great, you're doing great. Happy to see that. But then why do you still have anxiety? Why do you still have high stress? Why do we see adrenal issues? Why do we see potentially lower thyroid? Why do we see sleep disturbances? Because your happy neurotransmitter and your actual anti-anxiety neurotransmitter is looking good. So it doesn't make sense yet, but we have more to look at. Then we look at the excitatory neurotransmitters. And I've done a lot of work and I've done a couple podcasts for you on glutamate. And I want to link that up for you today. Very, very important that you understand and learn about glutamate. So that is in a previous podcast, which I'll link up. They have high glutamate, high glutamine, they have high histamines, and this person has higher levels of dope-pack. All of this will make sense in a second. Higher levels of HVA, but then they have low norepinephrine. And their actual dopamine is below 50%. So it's very strange. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, this person has lower excitatory neurotransmitters and good inhibitory neurotransmitters. So what seems to be the issue here? Well, what's happening is this, and this is why genetics matter, but remember, they only matter when the lifestyle or environment allows for the expression. This person is greatly deficient in certain vitamins and minerals that I'm just going to give you here today, and they are also someone that is most likely sensitive to glutamate, which is found in gluten-based foods, so wheat-based foods, as well as food dyes, so that they be extra sensitive. And it's also found in things like yeast and even things like nutritional yeast. And they seem to have a histamine food sensitivity issue. So now we know that there's definitely 2 food sensitivities that we can work with them on. And then we can give them the actual vitamins and minerals that they are low on. How do we know this? Because we know how all of the dopamine and norepinephrine and these things flow through the body. So I want to share that with you right now. And I'm going to just teach you something. Again, you don't need to memorize it, but I think that this might be helpful. When a person has higher levels of glutamate, but it doesn't convert to more GABA, which we see with this person, high levels of glutamate, okay? High levels of glutamine, but it's not making its way to GABA. What are typically the issues? The issues are manganese and magnesium and vitamin B6. Believe it or not, manganese, magnesium, and vitamin B6 can help this person convert this glutamate and glutamine that's stuck and not making its way to that anti-anxiety neurotransmitter like it should. It's literally locked up. Really, really important to look at that. And then for people that have histamine issues, really important here, that they look at copper and vitamin B2. Now, to make it easy for you, you don't need to take all these individual B vitamins. You can simply take an activated B complex with your daily nutritional support, and that's going to give you all the vitamins and minerals you really need. I do recommend typically extra full spectrum magnesium. Now, the last one's a little bit more complicated. It's dopamine and epinephrine not leading to the best conversions possible for them. And that goes back to copper, vitamin C, and SAMe, as well as the last one being magnesium, which plays a critical role in over 3,000 enzymatic transformations. So what would we do for this individual? Well, we'd want to first find out what the stress is and help them to reduce that. We'd want to get them on a good sleep-based protocol, all things that I outline in the Rain Barrel Effect, my book, which, by the way, again, is free at StephenCabral.com. And if you buy it on Amazon, that's great too, and all of the profits go to charity. But what we do is we help this person from a lifestyle perspective. We eliminate the food sensitivities, in this case, gluten, glutamate-based foods, yeast-based foods, as well as histamine, high histamine foods. We will recommend additional labs if they choose to. They're welcome to look at that. They don't have to if they don't want to, because we would like to look at heavy metals as well. And then what we do is we're going to help them with thyroid, at least initially, adrenals, at least initially, and then a good daily foundational protocol that's going to help them rebalance a lot of these missing minerals and vitamins and certain amino acids as well. So I shared this with you for a reason. One is the lab can look complicated, but your job is not to know how to read the lab unless you're an integrative health practitioner level 2. Your job is this. Your job is simply to understand that your body is unique, but we know the deficiencies that you might be deficient in, as well as the toxicities. And if we bring up those deficiencies and we help you remove those toxicities, we're able to help the body rebalance. Because remember, once the body is balanced, it's healthy, and a healthy body can't be sick. Hopefully today's lab results podcast and case study was helpful. If it was, I would love to hear from you, because the podcast is for you. It really is. I want it to be for you. So if this was helpful and you'd like to hear additional ones and hear me go over all sorts of different labs, I'm happy to do that. We've done one on a food sensitivity now. We've done one on omega-3. We've done one on a minerals and metals test. And this is the neurotransmitter. So we'll do many more to come. Hopefully this was helpful. Of course, if it was, please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve.